So, have you ever been called out? Maybe it was something you said that wasn't exactly the truth. Maybe it was something that you said to someone else that wasn't particularly nice, and somebody called you out because it wasn't something that you should have said. We use the word called out a lot in our culture. But in the Bible, the word for called out was a little bit different. Now, in the book of Acts, in chapter 2, it finally talks about how the church, what the church looked like. And that word church in Greek is ekklesia. Now, ekklesia meant a couple of other things as well. It meant gathering, and it also meant fellowship. So that's what ekklesia meant. It meant church, gathering, fellowship. But what it really meant to the people in this particular day was that they were called out of something and called into something else. That's what church meant. That's what ecclesia meant. It was this group of people who were following the way of Jesus, who were called out of their former selves and called into a new particular type of community. And this was not an organization. This is not a new institution or a new startup. This was a different way of life. So they were called out of their former lives and they were called into teaching and studying and prayer. They were called out of their insular lives and called into a life of sharing with those in need. They were called out of a world where they were eating with only people who looked and were just like them and called into a life where their table was shared with people who were very different from them. So, what are you called out from in your life, and what will you be called into so that you can be the church, that you can be ecclesia? It's no coincidence that the people that followed Jesus early in the church's birth were people who were said to be called the Way. And they were called the Way because they were the people who believed that they were called out of their own particular lives and called into this way of Jesus. And it wasn't that they joined a new particular organization or they joined a new institution. It was that their entire lives were changed. So how will you think about church in that way? How will you think about church in the way that moves towards this way of life? This way of being where you're called out from your former self and called into the way of Jesus, being a part of his kingdom in your life right here, right now. Amen.